Yes, sir. Morning, brother. Okay. Morning, family. Welcome to the Anchor Club. My name is Melvin Jackson. I'm your host. I'm your messenger. I am my brother's keeper. And if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Uh, let not this be the last time you hear your brother's voice. Hope I give you something to think about today. By the grace of my Father, I come before you by His allowance. And I pray that He lead us to and guide us, if you will, to where we need to be. Let me be a reminder to you of who you are, what you mean to your Father, and let's get on with it. The lesson of today is Violators Beware. I was pondering the very thought this morning, uh, thinking about the things of my past and the violations that I have done, my trespassing, if you will. The more I think about those things, had I known yesterday what I know today, possibly could have been spared those things. Sometimes the hard lesson about life is that sometimes, unfortunately, you don't always have to do those things. But me being hard headed and challenging all of the things that I was taught, only to find out a good amount of those was true. You know, like old sayings, what go around, come around, and what you do to people will come back to you. Some of those things I wasn't really a firm believer, or probably didn't take time to think about those things. Could have spared myself a lot of heartbreak and pain that was to come in my future. But nevertheless, I stand before you, a sinner of those things, learning the lessons that I needed to learn to get to where I am today. I ask you sometime as a listener, if you will, to leave a comment. It's important to me what you think of your brother, the things that I could improve on. I am a messenger, a simple messenger that brings the message. I'm not certainly the best of examples, but I share some of the things that when I look back at, I find myself remorseful, um, even shameful, if you will. I don't like those feelings, but you know the old saying, when the shoe fits, wear it. So when I don't want to feel them things, so my father teaches me, then don't do them. Lesson, you get what you put out. So moving on to violators. If you're anything like me, maybe you're not. Hopefully you're better than me. I am not the one to say you're worse than me, because those are the things that I did in the past. I want to shape this new person, if you will. Um, I have to bear witness to my wrongdoings, evil doings, if you will. Um, this is who I am. Like it or not, to myself, my acceptance of myself is to take those things, obviously, to fix them and don't do them. Because sometimes you never know when, how, and where the payment comes for those things. From the simplest to the more complicated. I use the simplest sometimes to try my best to demonstrate that in the past, when I tried to, or when I was making an effort to readjust my thing, I know in my heart, beloved, when things don't sit well with me, I try to cancel them out my memory because at least I thought those things were easy to do. When I think about it, I say to myself, try not to think about that. But certain things regurgitate, and maybe those are the changes that's standing aside for me to get it off my chest, if you will. My level of violation coincide with the payments. They in my past were very painful. Um, but nevertheless, I did those and partake or was a partaker of those things. The simple truth is when you or me have done those or are about to do those, I used to get an anxious feeling in my body, and I sometimes I didn't know quite what to make of those things. It was almost like before I do things, I used to get this nervous feeling. Um, I didn't obviously like those feelings because it's not a good feeling. I know when I feel good and I know when I don't feel good. When I say those simple things, they're reminders or they're warnings that I ignored in the past and went on ahead to do what I did. I think part of me was afraid of if I get caught. That's always the bottom line to doing things. If I can share this with you, my brother told me one day he had a way of talking to me. Sometimes he used to talk in riddles to my thinking because I knew it had a point, and I used to try to search for the point so that I would kind of meet him where he was trying to take me, if you will. Um, but oftentimes I didn't, and I thought and I thought and I thought, and I couldn't come up with the answers. And I said, "No, I don't know the answer. What is the worst thing um, that could happen to a thief?" He said to me, "Is he gets away with it." Okay, I probably sat there and tried to understand that, certainly to its fullest. And most times I didn't know the answer, and I would say why, and he would turn to me and he would say to me is he the thief thinks he could get away with it, so he will return to, if you will, familiar grounds and do it again. And I thought about it and I said, wow, that's okay. That's up there. That's pretty deep. Some of those things I wasn't quite ready for, if you will. I always put a likeness, you know me by now. That's like wearing his sneakers. He was much taller and his feet was much bigger. And so certainly I couldn't wear his shoes. Um, Sometimes those things come in time, but they are simple teaching. And I know that to be a fact because I was raised in that manner. I was told those things. Sometimes I used to find myself thinking to myself that I want what I want. And if I need to take a shortcut, so be it. Just as long as I get what I want. But I didn't understand all of the underlying things that go along with it. And one of them was I began to feel less about myself. Those things I thought I could just cancel out with just saying, "Oh, come on, don't think about those things," and and then I tried to justify, well, I needed it and I wanted it, and and I tried all sorts of things to justify what I did or what I just did. But I knew when things didn't sit well with me because I knew right from wrong. And as I got older, I think I believe that I started to accept those things that we just spoke about in terms of being nervous when I'm about to do something that I know that's not right, and and also naturally feeling what I felt about what I was about to do, um, only to see myself further down the line when it comes to time to pay the piper, which is another old expression to say you did what you did and now you're going to pay for what you did. It often, part of the punishment is that you pay more for what you believe that you got out of it. And if you're not at the stage of certainly asking for forgiveness and fixing it, then those things would linger on and on and on. And as I got older, the price for those things began to increase. When you're a kid and you do those things, for some reason it's a little more forgiving, if I can put it that way, because they said he's young, he's a kid, he knew better, but he for whatever reason, um, did what he did. But they were more lenient with younger people. And like I mentioned, as I got older, I realized that sometimes it does send the wrong signal because you believe because you're young you can get away with those things. But inside of you or inside of me, very really was I able to think a little further down the line to say this is not who I want to be, and why shortcuts. Excuse me, I'm thinking and talking at the same time, and sometimes I do that. So bear with me when I do that. But sometimes, when I, in hindsight, naturally, when I look back at those things, and I see that I ran a stop sign, if you will. I I I was at a certain point where before I did it, I knew it was wrong. I felt it in my very body. I felt it. I just felt it. But yet I did it. Again, I know it's not right because when I do those things and I realize down the line I'm going to pay much more than the value of what I had taken, if you will, that it just didn't balance out. I use that phrase sometime when you do the math. I was one for a lot of times taking what they call shortcuts, thinking I can attain what it is that I want to without the other part. Usually that'll probably mean work for it or work hard for it, not realizing all of the characteristics that support that was more important than trying to go through life just taking things and not being responsible for what I do. Violators, beware. Because at some point, you're going to have to pay for what you do. And when it comes, it's certainly not going to be friendly. And so shortcuts are in appearance what it says, but shortcuts for the most part and then a better understanding is it's the long way around. It's the long way. It's not the short way. And so if you do those things, you take away from yourself. And almost like when you keep taking away, taking away, taking away, I'm not sure. I don't specialize in some of the things that I talk about or try to find um, understandings with those things. But I know at the end of the day, again, the simple part is right and wrong. When I want something, I have to, I have to, if I don't have the money, I have to find the money. How do I find the money? What is the best way? To work for it. Whatever that means, whatever I'm doing. From when I was younger to go to the supermarket and pack bags for people, on further to carry the bags to where the people need them, and I get tips. Sometime back then, the grocery stores didn't pay you to do those things. Probably the better job to that was to working in the supermarket, if you will, putting things on the shelf, store stock clerk, and all sorts of things like that that didn't carry a big a big payday, if you will. But what they allowed me to do and see was more important, once again, than the shortcut to go in the supermarket and steal those things. Scripture spoke of a man that did such a thing. The story went, or the scripture went, if you will, that he got caught. And when he got caught, he was quite naturally like we do today. You get taken into custody, you get embarrassed, and you might find yourself, or in my case, find myself in front of somebody that could have really made things even worse for me. When you're younger, they don't arrest you. You just get in this case you get put out and not allowed to go back in that store or whatever wherever you do what you do. I'm just taking the lighter cases that was one opportunity that was taken from me. Um, I did simple things like deliver newspapers, and I did little things to try to be helpful, because once again I didn't have those things. And and I had to learn, anything you get in life you have to work for. Other than that, then you're cheating not just the system, but you're cheating yourself, for the obvious reasons or for the reasons that I just gave you. You don't feel good about yourself when you do things like that. Um, the ignorance probably at those younger ages is that the excitement, you got away with it, they didn't catch you, and so you're only as good as your next attempt. But sooner or later, it catches up with you. And as you get older, the penalties, as I was saying, becomes bigger and bigger, or should I say larger and larger. I mean, up until the time you literally find yourself sitting in jail, because you can't go through life just taking what you want. It just don't work that way. And then when you do, you don't have appreciation for what it is that you steal, if you will. You don't have appreciation. In fact, once again, when I used to come around my loved ones and they knew I didn't have it when I was younger, I used to hide it, because if they see me, they wanted to know where did I get the money to get those things, and then that would lead me into lying. So, beloved, all of those things they just add up. And like I said, in life, it will shortly teach you, hopefully, that's not the way to do it, and that's not the way to go about doing it. You do it the right way. You earn what you get. You're proud of yourself because you're learning to obtain things in life that you want, that you find necessary for you, a younger person, if you will, older older adults, if you will. And if you're listening, then it's time to stop that. It truly is, because you can't, once again, keep going through life and getting away. Sooner or later, you're going to get caught. And I think one of those things was what my brother was saying to me. The price that you're going to pay when you get caught is going to be far outreaching what you took, because that's a law, if you will. It's a law, it's an internal law as well as an external. When I say internal, like I said before, the payment for what you do, you don't feel good about yourself. In fact, come on now, you feel bad about it, because it, like I said, it leads to undermining things like stealing. You you don't, obviously you feel the worst part of being trusted to do things. I love being trusted. I've worked towards those things, because not not only because it makes me feel good, and it does, and that's the payment for doing the right thing. You feel good about yourself, and then moving on further in life, and then when you get opportunities, temptation is there. Temptation is there. They give me a depiction of my left and my right. My right side is the upright side, my left side is the undermining side, and it whispers things to me. You see what that guy just left there? He don't know what he did. Just grab that, put it in your pocket, act like you didn't. Things like that. Because being trustworthy is important to have in your pocket as a tool, if you will, to being who you are, to feel good about yourself, not to be a creeper, if you will, looking around for an opportunity to deceive or to cheat or to steal something that doesn't belong to you. When it's done to you, it takes on a whole disposition now, because now you feel that other part. That's a violation. I trusted my friend, and he disappointed me, and he deceived me, and he dipped on me when I had my back turned. You know, those kind of things is partial, or should I say part of those payments. When you do to others what will certainly be done to you, and let's see how you take it. Let's see if you take it as good as you could give it, as the old saying go. But being mindful of those things, and as we get older and older, hopefully we get wiser, and we don't rid ourselves of the good things. We call them the golden rules. That sound probably a little old fashioned, but today I still call it that, because they're set in a position. Imagine us in a society that we built for ourselves, if you will. Never mind, we're in a strange land learning strange behaviors. They take people that do them things, and they so called make them heroes. They're not that. They're not heroes. People that do that are not something to look up to, or something that would make you think you want to be that when when you get older. Criminal like behavior is the way to go. It's not. It's not. It's a lie, and it's a deception. And for the obvious reasons, once again. Uh, Family, there's different levels of deception, and there's different levels of taking shortcuts. And like I said, the price becomes heavier and heavier and heavier. One day, if you will, you find yourself taking a bad habit like that. And as the old saying goes, you did it to the wrong person. Because now it becomes principle, if you will. Dealing with some people who are not forgiven. Those kind of violations are not easily forgiven. Sometimes you're able to make restitution, and sometimes you make enemies. If you did something like that to me, and then my disappointment to you, anything can come from that. If we call it payback, it's a bad habit. It's a disgusting habit. We need to call it out for what it is. I don't care how big or how small, it is not right to do, and we have to accept that. We have solutions to the things we want. What's the problem with the solution? I'm not willing to do it. I'm not willing to work for it. I don't have time to work for it. I need it now. And if I can't get it this way, I'll get it another way. You know, all of those sick ways of looking at it, because it's not true and it's not upright. Family, those things we need to check ourselves with. Um, because when we're practicing to be better person, we can't have those kind of things lingering in us, because those are not of the character of what we perceive to be what we're aiming for. Sometimes to be at peace with yourself, you have to face things like that, because that's the way life is. And we can't always adjust life to how we want it to be as such, because like I said before, right is right and wrong is wrong. Today, when I look at myself and those kind of things, the importance to do my best to rid myself of those things. Lesson that I don't change. And I need to change. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. Either I get better in my way of thinking or moving, if you will, or I get worse. Those things can start small, and we find ourselves way over our heads, if you will. And like I said, sometimes the payment for those things is anybody's guess. So we need to be mindful of those kind of things. Also, what I was thinking about earlier was I used to hear this phrase of sound like a dog catcher from my days. They used to run around and catch what we call strays. Strays are pretty much, um, one that walked away or wasn't paying attention when the rest of everybody, if you will, or moved on, and I wasn't paying attention. And when I looked up, who I was with, or the pack, if you will, moved on, and I didn't realize it, and I found myself astray. Even when one goes astray, because he or she, excuse me, doesn't accept what the majority is doing. Something as simple as what we're talking about. One, checking on their own behavior, what sits well with you and what doesn't. We can't sit always in our so-called reasoning for the things that we do when they're not upright. Because once again, we believe they serve us for the moment because we, as the sayings say, we do what we gotta do. No, we don't. No, we don't. We don't have to do that. We make a conscious choice to do that, but we don't have to do that. The things that we use or I use to kid myself of any kind of wrongdoing is I'm lying to myself. Pardon my expression. I'll say BSing myself. I'm trying not to use obviously strong language like that, but kidding myself when I know things to be not what I try to turn them to be for the benefit of those things. Remember those old sayings? He's guilty with an explanation. It almost kind of take away the guilty part because the explanation could give an understanding of why I did that or those things. And you can't have both. So we try not to be involved with that kind of thing. But going back to being astray, um, I was astray for a long, long, long time. Would it be fair for me to say in my testimony, if you will, that I have a soft heart, if you will, for people that's been either led astray by other people or led astray by my own doing? I don't want to ride that guilty with an explanation business because, like I said before, if I'm going to plead guilty, plead guilty. Stop it with the explanation. The explanation is not needed. Like I said in scripture, they talked about a man going in a store and he was hungry and he didn't have anything to eat. Nobody would give this particular beggar anything. So he went in the store and he went to steal and he got caught and he had to face the judge. And when they asked him why he did it, he said because he was hungry and he didn't have anything to eat. The same depiction was also given to one that had money but refused to spend it. He went in the store, stole, got caught, same thing, went before the judge, and they asked him why did he do it. And he said he did it because he was hungry. And they said, but when we searched you, we found money in your pocket. Why didn't you pay for it? And he said, well, if I steal it, I can save my money for something else. Well, you don't have to be a genius to say which one was guilty with an explanation, if you will. Because even when you're hungry and you steal, doesn't make it right. You could go and ask. Perhaps somebody would pity you and feed you or give you something to eat. But just to go in there and take something that don't belong to you because you needed it, if you will, for the reasons that you stated, it doesn't make it right. We know right from wrong, and that's what we have to hold ourselves to, that standard, and don't kid ourselves because then we don't grow. We we're fighting against our better part. So as small as those things sound that lead to bigger and larger things, it's just to be mindful of your behavior. To feel good about yourself, you got to rid yourself of those kind of things and that kind of thinking. Whether you're robbing a bank or a grocery store, both is wrong. So when we're bettering ourselves, we have to do better. Once again, when you're astray, you feel like everything is against you and nothing is for you. And you loan yourself, or I've loaned myself to that very reason. And there's no, obviously, no growth towards that because there's always a better way. But if you don't allow yourself to open and to see those things, then you'll always find yourself, as the old expression goes, behind the eight ball. That this is a simple matter, excuse me, as such. But when those things aren't monitored or watched, they carry over to more serious things. And so that's something that we could do something about. Let's work for what we get. Let's feel good about who we are. Let's stop taking these little, and I say little, but I mean, let's stop taking those shortcuts. Let's just stop accepting a shortcut because there's no such. It just is not. So let's stop kidding ourselves to believe those things. Let's take it on the chin. When you do something, know what you're doing. Know what you're doing. Because when you do it, like I said, or should I say, like my brother taught me, when you do that and you find out a way, a easy way to get what you so called think you want, never mind appreciating what you got, that you'll go back to the well again to drink that same water because you know that water's there. Let's stop thinking that way and start earning what we get so we can start feeling good about ourselves and we can move on to other things in life. We're not predators. We don't prey on each other as such. But those portholes lead you to those kind of things. It doesn't lead you, excuse me, to obviously feel good about yourself or feel better about yourself, or certainly to be at peace with yourself. We're shooting for the higher self. And in the higher self, there's no place for those kind of things. We gotta nip those in the bud. But when we are in company of people that's about that, we're in bad company. That's not where we're trying to go. And when we start borrowing their excuse towards those things, um, it doesn't edify us. We want to feel good again and be at peace. And so we go on in life and we start obtaining some of the things we want. I used a reference the other day that there's literally, it seemed, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound scripture like, but when I say this job literally falling out the sky, I mean, there's opportunities like crazy, but we got to loan ourselves to those opportunities, man. And because you do it today doesn't mean you're going to be doing it tomorrow. You're starting like one that just started a bank account that don't have a lot of money. You put a quarter a day, $1 a day, $5 a week, $10 a week, and before you know it, you have a little something. And then all kind of things start crossing your mind. Oh, I could do this and I could buy that, and those things are good. But when you start to realize it took you a minute to put it together, that you said, no, let's not spend it now. Let's keep going. Let's see where this leads. And the more we keep going, the more we start obtaining. The more we keep going, the more we start putting aside. The more it is the encouraging factor that we're after. That small job becomes a better job. You get to know how to get up in the morning. You get to know how to be on time on the job. You get to know that you're gonna have bad days and good days, but what you're working for is better, is is better, if you will, than quitting because you don't like the way that person talks. When you have something in mind that's driving you to get there, a lot of those things don't hold as much weight as you would think. Not to say you got to be a pushover, or you got to sit there and let people take advantage of you. I think what happens is where you start aiming towards, as they get bigger and bigger and bigger, you find there's trade-offs, if you will, sometimes in life. Why am I doing this? Oh, I just got my apartment. I need my apartment. If I lose this job, or if I quit this job, how am I going to pay for that? And sometimes I have to do that just to get it through this thick head that you need that job. So maybe you get the next job, you be more mindful, you be more acceptance. It doesn't mean you don't have to stand up for your rights and all of the things that go along with that. What I'm trying to say is once we start climbing that ladder and we start obtaining the things that we really want in life, and we're encouraged to continue that, if you find my expression, I call it a winning streak. You on a winning streak, brother, sister, mother, father. You on a winning streak when you getting what you need the right way. You on a streak. So you keep it up. And the payments for that is God will bless you with better situations. The humble part is that somebody would say, "Oh man, that's nothing. Oh, that job, that that job isn't for a future." You know what I say about big things and small packages? People are fooled sometimes to think because it's a big box. They used to have this show when I was growing up. You could trade in what you won, and I'll give you, I don't know you recall these shows, but I'll kick it anyway. I'll give you $500 for that box that you just bought, but you don't know what's in the box. And then they show you the person that's standing near the box. Oh, what do he have a chance of winning? I'm gonna just throw this out there. Joan, and then she showed the box. Ring. Oh, look at this box. Oh my God, this is a big box. People are fooled by, because it's big, they think it's something big. Because every now and then they throw a curveball, and you give them back the $500. You take the box, and then they say, "Show them what's in the box," and it's something simple as silly as, you pardon my expression, stupid. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that, but less than what you thought. And the same thing with a small box. And people get played left and right. Oh, you just got that little box there. But I tell you what, I'll give you 500 for that box. Well, they say, yeah, this is 500. Yeah, that's a bet. Because that in that box can't be nothing big. And then they open up the box, and that thing make $500 look like you were robbed. Excuse me. My point in saying is sometimes don't overlook a blessing. Blessing sometimes comes with working at a grocery store, with working at McDonald's, with working at Burger King's, with working at jobs that you said is not a future, but it's just for now because I'm trying. And when you're trying, God will bless you. I'm a witness to so many circumstances that go exactly like that. The first job you come out with, very rarely anybody's hiring you to be at the top of that company, if you will, a CSO or a CEO or whatever they want to call them. And everybody don't start on top. And sometimes everything on top isn't what you always think. You work a little bit at a time, and so you will gain. God sees you. God sees you. The humble one is the one that it's calling, because this is the start. And then the old way of saying things is you're paying your dues. Could I say that again? You're paying your dues, because where this is going to take you, nobody would believe. Can I use an example? Here's a good one. John Stocks was working at a supermarket. Check it. So you know I'm not just grabbing thin air. And next thing you know, he's playing in the NBA and made a suffice amount of money. Look at what we're saying. Supermarket, no future, no real money. People people see you and they don't. Your job matters, but it don't. Because if you wasn't there doing that job, somebody else would be doing it. It's misadvertised. Can I call it? I won't call it false advertised. It's misdiagnosed. People don't realize that that's going to lead to something bigger and better. And as you climb and as you earn the things that life is showing you, I speak also about this in other videos. If you watched a few, you'll know what I'm saying. Is that you'll gain, like I said, you'll learn to be on time. You learn to do what you have to do. You learn responsibility. You'll all of those things that come with it is feeding you and preparing you. I say God is preparing you for the future. But when you're not hip to it, excuse me with my slang, in your head, you think it is nothing. Family, it's something. And I'm here to tell you, don't don't miss it. Don't miss it. Because that one that's trusted with a little and showed the character of that will, can, and will be trusted with a lot. You hear those stories every day. It's not me. I'm not trying to sell you a dream. Your brother brings you the message, and I hope you get it. But I can't bang it and hammer it in your head. Either you're going to be there, if you will, to accept it because it's going to lead you to embetterment. And that is loaded with all sorts of stuff. One of the better parts is how you feel about yourself. When you start feeling good about yourself, feeling good about your direction, feeling good about your future, things are coming because you're working hard. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're showing the discipline when it needs to. This is a good part of life. Please don't miss it. Please, those of you that could hear me. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm talking to you. Don't miss those things. It will lead to better things. The difference in believing it for yourself and then seeing it for somebody else, maybe you'll reason yourself out of that very action. Oh, he probably knew somebody that gave it to him, blah, 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 blah. Stop it. Stop it. If you don't have today, if you don't have the things that you need today, you need to get up today and make a start to obtaining them from underarm deodorant to toothpaste to a new suit to a new apartment to a new car to a new house. You have to climb the ladder of life and you earn as you climb it. There's no shortcut. I can't grab your leg and let you bring me up the ladder. It's not the same. It's the effort that you make towards the things that you want to obtain that will get you where you want to go. There is no shortcut. Father, help me help me to share this message, to give this message to the ear that need to hear it. Don't take my word for it. Try it. And mark my words. I'm going to say it again. Mark my words, you will obtain it. You will surely obtain it in more ways than one. Beloved, if you could see some of the things that go across my mind, which I'm sure you can't, because sometimes those things aren't meant for you. Not yet. But there will come a time when you're consciously awoke. It's like me shaking you out of your sleep. Some people say, man, please don't do that. And I'm a good one for that. I don't like to be woke up abrupt. Somebody shaking me, get up, get up. I don't like that. I don't like that. But my point is not to be mistaken, to say sometimes we need to be shaken to a point where we come to out of that slumber and awaken to these things that we're talking about today. There's no such thing as I'm too old to start over. As long as you got the breath of life in you, today is that day for you. There's no age limit to what I'm talking about. If you're old enough to understand, pardon my expression, what I'm saying to you, then you can put it into action. But you gotta first desire it, and then you'll do and make an attempt to do. You won't be disappointed. You won't. You just won't. Violators, be warned. For what you put out, you'll surely get back. What goes around will certainly come around. You're not the first, and you surely won't be the last. Get out there and challenge yourself with life, and straight up, if you will. Take it straight on the chin. You have to do that with life. Don't be afraid to live life. Father didn't give us life to go hide under the bed and be afraid. Get out there and take a chance and see what's for you. I say this, I'll say it again. Life is a giant candy store, and it's full of all the things that you want and you desire. Get in the game. Get in the game. Make the start. It will surprise you because it's there and it can be obtained. Whatever it is that you're after, whatever it is that you want, you don't need somebody else's. Go get your own. You don't need to eat out of my plate when you got a plate. Go put the food on your plate and eat. It's a simple teaching. But I am a simple person. I catch strays all day long. Why? Because I was one. And my father showed me where I can be. And that's what I want. And so it is. So, family, let's do what we know to do. Make your family proud. Maybe one day you could tell your son or daughter, sister or brother, whoever needs help, we can share something with them. Maybe everybody's not going to get it. Not everybody's trying to see it. Some of us got to fall before we learn to walk all over again. I don't know who those are. That I leave to my Father. I do know what's put before me. This is my message to you today. Get up and get what's yours. It's waiting for you. Go claim it. Go claim it. And pay the price for whatever it is that you want. Because you have what it takes to get it. Treat yourself good. We're here for a short time. Let's do what we're here to do. So, family, as always, time moves. And so do we. I love you, family, and I care about you. You are me, and I am you. I am my brother's keeper. My father said, go get your brother. And don't come back without him. So I need you. I need you, brother. I need you, sister. I need you, mother. I need you, father. I need you, young one. Our future depends on you. For you are the example of tomorrow. Father, I love you with all my heart, all my soul, and all my mind. I depend on you for everything under the sun. For there is nothing in existence that you have not made. And everything that you have made bow down to your maker. And so do I. I love you, Father, and I thank you. I thank you for the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you share with me. And like any good brother, when I find something good, I bring it back to my family. And those that choose to indulge in it, have as much of it as you want. I love you, beloved. My message has been given. You do what you know to do. Thank you, family, for joining us this morning. Hoping, as always, that I give you something to think about. For we got a lot out there that's against us. But for once, we got something that's for us. That message is for us. Let's let's go and do it. Let's investigate. Let's see what this is about. My Father won't lie to you, deceive you, or mislead you, but he'll edify you and strengthen you, just like he's done for me. Thank you, Father. Thank you for these things, Father. Where would I ever be without you? I don't even want to think. If you're new joining us and this is the first opportunity you had to hear your brother's voice, please come back. I have other videos by the grace of God, and I'll continue on my mission. Hopefully, something in one of them is what you need. And if it's not, please speak to it. Press the subscribe button, excuse me. So I'm a finger away. You check with your brother to get motivated. Push that button. And when you have time, leave a comment. Let me know I mean something to you, for you surely means everything to me. So thank you, family. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to listen to your brother. Please don't let this be the last time you hear my brother. your brother's voice. Take care of your family and take care of yourself. Get out there. We got work to do. I love you, family. Have a blessed day. And so I greet you in the word of peace. Have a good day.